My son is only 6 years old, but last week he made almost $90 in 2 hours. Stick around and I'll tell you how to make your homeschoolers into entrepreneurs too. The first most important thing to do is to pray. Each day before you set up sales, this is the biggest thing. Praying not only focuses your attention on God, but also helps you to cast your cares on Him because He cares for you, like it says in 1 Peter 5:7. It's amazing to think about, but God really cares for your child's business. And so it's important to pray before you start. Next, it's time to start planning. Decide what you're going to sell. My son sells flowers and succulents. Whatever you do, make sure the materials are easy to get and they don't cost too much. The less time and money you spend up front, the more profit. That's why my son and I put our plants and flowers into reused pots and jars. There are a few other tried and tested kids' businesses you could have a go at. Lemonade stands, selling muffins, candies or cookies. But don't be afraid to try a new idea. Does your child like craft? Are you good at painting? Do a Google search and you'll find you have more ideas than you know what to do with. And what I have noticed is that as my son learns more about his business, he becomes a virtual ideas factory. So after you know what to sell, it's time to decide on a price. A great way to figure out what to charge is by looking at your competition. If you're selling bamboo plants, maybe you could try and see what these plants are selling for at your local nursery or farmer's market. If you're selling handmade items like earrings, see if you can find something similar like that on Etsy. And don't undercut your competition. Now this may sound slightly counterintuitive, but charge a similar or even higher price than them. Most people think that if you price items lower, they will sell more. That's actually not true, because most people think if it's priced lower, it will be lower quality. People equate higher prices with higher quality. Think about it, clothes, jewelry, cars, the higher the price, the more the quality. But be careful to not charge more than your item is worth, because your customers will feel like they're getting ripped off. They won't want to buy the product and your little entrepreneur will end up with a bad reputation. Oh no! Keep prices the same or slightly higher than competition and you will do fine. Now that your prices are set, you'll need to choose when to set up shop. Weekend mornings or afternoons are always better because people are out and about. If you're setting up a weekday stand, mornings and evenings are great because that's when people are driving to and from work. And don't forget the holidays. My son's sales went through the roof 2 days before Christmas. I think people were feeling very generous. And also figure out how long you'll be open for business when you set up shop. An hour or two works best, unless of course my son is raking in the sales and wants to keep going. And speaking of mums, check out my homeschool parenting program. It takes you from beginner homeschool parent to pro in no time at all. I'll leave the link in the description box below. Next up, you want to be choosing how many days you're going to be selling for. 1 or 2 days a week usually works great. It's good to plan ahead which days you will be selling, especially if you're selling drinks or plants or something else that requires you to prep and then sell, or grow and then sell. Nothing worse than having a beautiful table set up and nothing to put on it because the cookies aren't done baking yet. And just as important as figuring out when to sell is where to sell. Location, location, location. Flowers and lemonade do great on a roadside stand. But if you're selling homemade fishing lures, perhaps set up near the water where you can be seen. If you're selling homemade dog treats, perhaps you can go to the park on a weekend or a weekday and set up where people will be out and about walking their dogs. You get the idea. Real quick, if you are finding this helpful, hit the like and the subscribe button. It will help me out and you won't miss any of my upcoming videos, which I am sure will feature more dog treats. I mean homeschooling. And speaking of videos, I did a really cool one on how one kid's homeschool business is really taking off. Check it out here. So now that you have your location and your setup figured out, it's time to set up store. This is where you need to do a little marketing, make it bright and attractive. My son and I put a bit of hessian on a table to make it inviting. It looked great and it gave people a real idea of how the plants and succulents might look on their tables. Also put up a big colourful sign to let people know you're there. Make sure it has pictures of what you're selling so people get the idea. That gets people's attention. They might even want to buy what is in your store before they get there in person. And since you're getting pictures, it's a good idea to decide if you want to sell online. This opens up a whole new avenue for you to expand your wonderful little business. If you're making crafts, an Etsy store might help you sell even more. If you have a lemonade stand though, an online store might not be so helpful. So that's the business side of things. What about the education? Sales is a great way to teach manners. Your children get to practice saying please and thank you, sir and madam, with a smile on their face. Or if you want to make things less formal, a simple "may I help you" works wonders.
Hello, how may I help you?
As opposed to a "want to buy a cookie?" They also get to explain the different items they're selling and the features of them so that people stopping by will turn into paying customers. But most of all, cuteness sells. When people see your little girl or boy politely smiling and trying to sell something, they'll often buy just because your kid is so cute. And the other thing they can learn is math. They get to apply all those crazy numbers to the real world. Nothing like interest-based learning while making a profit at the same time. Why don't you practice taking money and making change a day or two before your store is scheduled? Your kids will be much more focused because they know they're actually going to use the things they've learned. Finally, remember to offer good quality products, because nobody wants junk. Not many people will want to buy from your child if the quality is poor. And if they do, they might get mad if they find out the product is poor quality.
Pitchforks! Can't be an angry mom without pitchforks!
Besides, offering a good quality product really gives your child a sense of pride in their hard work. Nothing teaches a child a strong work ethic when a customer walks off with a great product with a happy smile on their face, or better yet, returns to buy another one. The best thing about teaching entrepreneurship is that your homeschoolers will learn so much without even knowing it. And homeschooling is full of these sorts of opportunities. Their academic achievement is amazing. So many things are wonderful about homeschooling. And you can just see how wonderful it is in this video here on homeschool statistics. Go check it out.